Good evening, or yeah, it's good evening, still evening now. Good evening, everyone. It's evening here, and it's early in the morning in New Jersey, where our guest Calvin Anderson is. So, good evening and good morning. We're back again. We're here to talk about a weigh in on the George Floyd murder um, by the cop. Derek Chauvin. I guess that's how you say his name. And we were just talking on this topic right here, me and Calvin, the cop's past relationship with George as a security guard. Um, they both worked. Something's missing there, but they both worked in the same club. It was a Latin club that they worked in, and uh, George worked there on Tuesday nights when they had urban nights, and the ex-police officer or ex-cop, he worked there, I think, about at least 5 days a week. He moonlighted there, and I read the article. In the article, the club owner, he closed his club in January. He just closed the club in January. So as of December, they were both working in the same place. And so the owner said that there's no doubt that their paths crossed, being that they worked in the same place. And Derek worked 5 days a week or something like that, and George worked on Tuesdays. So, yeah, we were just talking about that. I was saying that with that being said, there can be a chance that this murder was premeditated because there could be some history um, with them because they had some type of relationship working in the same, even if they wasn't friends, being coworkers or working in the same place, you know, gives you some type of relationship. You want to take that up?
Waiting for
Uh,
me or Dwayne?
yeah, go ahead, Calvin. Go ahead, expound on it.
Well, I think it's going to come out that there was something more deeper that the cop was so intent on murdering him, being that they worked at the same club, so that means that they knew each other for a while, and probably that he probably knew the cop's wife. And usually, it seemed like the cop was having problems with his wife already because as soon as he got arrested, she announced that she's divorcing him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me say
So,
this. Let me add this in there again. The club just closed down in January, and George um, Floyd was noted that he worked there for 4 years, and the cop ex cop worked there for 16 years.
well, right. You know what I mean? So the cop was mad at uh, apparently at that young man for some reason, and so I'm curious about the $20 bill call. Why the store found it was necessary to call. Usually, when you go in with your money, they take the pen, the market to see if it's counterfeit, and they just don't want to take it. They say, "Oh, this is not real money." So why was it necessary for them to call the cops? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Because they could have just said, "We can't give you any. You can't make no exchange because this isn't real money." So it seems very like it was a sort of like a setup because that cop wanted to get to him. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of perpetrators from the store from when it happened. You know, um, there was a Mercedes uh, Forerunner parked behind him. He took off. Usually when the cops come, there was a person in the car with him. They took them out, and you saw in the video, the second video, the people that were in the car with them, they were taking stuff out of the car. They let them. That usually doesn't happen, because usually when they the cops come and they detain you, they usually go through the whole car. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They allow.
yeah. Let me say that. I mean, yeah, you made a point because when you see the video, you see that they get out the car and would take
Yep.
whatever they taken, and then but they're over there talking to him. Meanwhile, there's three people in the car, and the person at the store makes the phone call. They're standing outside the store. I mean, they haven't went nowhere, or the cops were actually got there that fast. I don't know how that worked, but you're right. They usually everybody should have their hands up. They all should have been treated the same way.
Right. Why were they allowed to go? So they were allowed to go. So it seemed like the perfect setup for that cop to come after that young man because he was really mad at him, and he probably practiced that martial arts move to cut the wind off of that young man. Because that's a martial arts move, and it could have been that little Chinese dude, the cop that probably taught him that move. You know what I mean? Because he was very comfortable with his hands in his pocket, one hand in his pocket, and the little girl who was 17 years old that took the video with her phone, he stood there and looked straight into the phone. He looked straight into the phone. And he didn't say, he didn't tell the cops go get the phone or anything. You know what I mean? So everything seemed like it was very orchestrated, from when he went into the store with the $20, from leaving, he was sitting in his car. They pulled up, surrounded his car. Why do they need so many cops for? I used to work security at Ripco's, and when we called the cops, because somebody they would just give them a citation, and they had to show up to court to say, because they would saying, well, I went to the bank and the bank gave me this. You know what I mean? You could go to the bank and then you could go to the store. You don't know if you got a counterfeited $20 bill, counterfeited $50 bill, and you go into the
Right.
store and you go to buy the milk and stuff, and they say, I'm sorry that this $50 bill is no good. You can't use this. They never, and if they call a cop, you just say, hey, I just left the bank. The bank gave me this. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm no expert.
Right.
So one, why do they need so many cops for such as, for a minor citation? That was a minor
Right.
citation.
And
Hmm.
they said it was a $20. You know what I mean? It was $20.
Right.
So it wasn't like he was trying to pass off hundreds of dollars of counterfeit money, like he was a counterfeiter in a bracket of counterfeiting. And here's the thing.
Right.
They said that George, the owner of the club, said that George was like a really likable person, kind of. That's he all when you seen him, he had a great big smile on his face, and like the people, they loved him and they respect him. Now, if somebody stands out in the crowd, you work in the same facility or same club. You're talking about a club. A club is not that big. It's not like you work in the White House and somebody work in the left wing and somebody work in a different wing or whatever. You're talking about a club. So you're going to see somebody that stands out, to the crowd and always smiling. So I mean, like I just can't understand why he seen this man. He seen him. Actually, I think in the video, is that him? That was two other cops. Who was the one that went to the car? Did you remember which cop? Was he the cop that went up to the car, or was he the cop that came afterwards?
Well, the two other cops were the ones holding his legs.
Yeah, were they the first on the scene, or they the
Yeah,
second?
they was first.
No, they were the second. He came up, and then they had him. Two cops came up, and they made him sit down. They had him handcuffed, and they had him sitting down. Then they transferred the van to the other side, and that's when because they had every opportunity to put him right in the car because he was already handcuffed. So my point is, his shirt looked like his shirt was off, right? So I don't think he struggled to try to get away. I think they needed to get him positioned to mobilize him so he wouldn't they be able to move, so that he can practice that martial arts technique. He probably practiced that for a long time because he wanted to use it on him, because who knows, maybe the young man that died, maybe he was having an affair with his wife. We don't know yet. But for him to know that young man, all that they had a history together, and then he came out. How do you go murder somebody that you know? Unless you're extremely angry and mad at that person, that mad man, or took your money. You know what I mean? Why was he so angry with that young man that he had to murder him like that? So everything seems very suspicious. Now that he went to jail, the wife makes an announcement that she's getting a divorce. Very suspicious to me. You know what I mean? There's some kind of triangle here. So,
Right. It's suspect. It's suspect. You know
right,
that this man. I mean, even if you don't know, you work with somebody at least 4 years. You know their name.
right, right. So um, uh, the, why did they bring so many cops, and then why were all of them like on top of his body when he was sitting there with his knee in his neck? The other cops are holding him. They were on his legs. And who was when somebody was like trying to talk black when they was telling him to get up? They was sounding like they was black. It was sounding like the cop was trying to sound like he was black. He was telling them to get up. You know what I mean? You know how you be
No, no, I think that was one of the people, the guy that was in the car with him. He was like, man, just get up and don't fight them. And he was like, I can't get up. He said, just get up and do what they say. He said, I can't get up because they, not only did the guy have his knee on his neck, the other cops had their knees on him too. They were all kneeling on him. The other cop was kneeling on his back, and the other cop was kneeling on his legs. They were all kneeling on him. He was saying that his stomach was hurting because the other cop was on his back pressing his stomach in. So they wasn't holding him down with their hands. They were all their weight. So you say three police officers at least. Let's say if we just
That's
That's
about
about
six,
estimate.
700 pounds.
Yeah, about
Eight,
six,
eight
seven hundred
hundred.
pounds on that man because they wasn't holding him down; they were kneeling on him.
But look.
Mhm.
Let's do this. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. We're gonna look at the video. Here's the video right here. This video has no sound, but check it out. You can see the whole thing.
Yep.
This is when he walked up to the car, the first cop.
Mhm.
And he told this one guy to get out that side. I don't know if that's a guy or a girl that's getting ready to get out that side right there. Floyd was on the
One's a
other
guy.
side.
It was a guy. It was a guy and a girl,
Right, right.
and they took stuff out of the car.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were taking their stuff out of the car. The Chinese guy told them to stop, and then they allowed him to pull the Mercedes Benz that was behind him was able to pull away, and he pulled and went and came and parked on the other side.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, it seemed like the perfect setup because I'm thinking maybe one of the people he was traveling with may have been in on it too, because they just came there so fast for his location and everything. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know if they were like wait here, don't take off yet, because maybe that cop was hunting him. You know what I mean? Because he was very angry with him about something. You know what I mean? So he was hunting, trying to get him. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So and why? As soon as he goes to jail, the wife makes an announcement that she's getting the divorce.
right. Now
You
look at this
know?
right here. Now he had a guy and a girl inside the car. Now all of a sudden they disappear. You haven't heard anything from them. You don't see them nowhere.
Nope.
They most likely threatened them and told them not to say nothing. Because look at them.
Yep.
There's a guy and there's a girl. There's his
Yep.
friend. There's a girl right there. But all of a sudden, they're nowhere to be found and on the media. Right.
Yeah.
That guy right there in the red and white.
Yep. Where's he
Mhm.
at?
All of a sudden, they disappeared. And either the court and the lawyers are telling them not to say nothing, or the police threatened them and their families, like they always do.
Or you could use scenario 4.
Now here's
He could
Floyd.
be.
Here's Floyd. Look at this. Here's Floyd coming out.
Uh, you could use the number 4. The people who were in the car could be part of the conspiracy, because they were able to just walk and just leave. You know.
Right. Now there's a this is not the cop that nailed on his knee, but these two cops right here, this one and the one back there, I think they were holding his legs and his back.
Right.
Now right here they got the man in handcuffs. That should have been it right there. That should have been it. End of confrontation. Because you
Yeah,
got
and
him
put him in the car and drive off.
right. Now what they did
What?
is they walked him across the street. Now we all been arrested at one time in our life. How many times did the cop put the cuffs on you and walk you across the street?
No, the car came right over to you, so that you didn't try to run, that you wanted a flight risk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
And
so
that's part
now
of their training. So they didn't do. That's part of their training that they didn't do. They did a 2-part thing. They walked the perpetrator, who is dead, across the street.
now check it out.
Then that
Why do you think they walked him across the street? Because they saw the camera.
because they thought they was getting away from the camera. Yeah, they thought they
Yeah,
was getting away from the camera.
right. So they saw that camera. They got him up. Now here he is. Get ready, get him up. If it's still play, they saw that camera and they wanted to get him up. And who knows what he's telling them, like, we're gonna kill you today because your friend, you're sleep with my friend's wife or whatever's going on.
Yeah,
They
some shit happened. Yeah,
right, right, right. He's like, why are you telling me? I didn't do nothing, But they walk him all the way across the street away from the camera.
right. So then they were talking. They were saying something to him too. I bet
Right.
you it was probably saying, I finally got you, and I know what you was doing with my wife, because she's divorcing him. She made that announcement as soon as he got arrested. She was like, "Thank you, Lord." You know what I
Right.
mean? For whatever he was doing, whatever
But
he
did
was
you
doing up
see?
there in the house with his wife.
Right. What'd you say, Mary?
Oh no, I was saying, did you see that guy didn't look like the guy Derek? That was
No,
that pulled him
Derek
up.
didn't. He didn't show up yet.
Oh, okay.
Derek had it all set up.
Derek is in this car right here.
Right.
That's making
Derek-
a U-turn.
Right. And then he's going to get out of there.
Now he
Now
blocked
look at the
that.
girl. The girl's going back inside the car.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm talking about.
then it stopped right there.
But for one,
But none of
why did
none of the networks, are
go ahead?
none of the networks are interviewing any of those people.
Correct.
So why is the CNN, MSNBC, any one of these news outlets? How come these people weren't interviewed? You know, why didn't really reporters go interview him? You know what I mean?
Right. It's like
See,
they disappeared.
yes, I'm cynical because I think that's all. This is like part of the plot, you know, for the riots to take place because
Right.
it seems like everybody's not, even the media is not even doing their job. You know, the cops clearly aren't doing their job. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
It's like a conspiracy.
it's
You know.
conspiracy. And you know what, man? You know, and the next time when black people are in the vicinity and they see a black man is down, they see the cops are using that kind of crazy force on them. You know, you grab about 20 or 30, 40 people, say, let's go help that guy. 9 chances out of 10, that cop's gonna get up off of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
Right.
so
Now look
you know
at
we
this.
can't we can't be, you know, every time you see somebody get arrested, we can't look and say and start walking away. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because you have, you know, now that you're able to, you know, video violence, racism, misogynism, you know, with your phone, you know what I mean?
Right.
The police cannot dispute what you saw and what you was feeling or how you got hit or somebody robbed you because you got it on your own video.
Right.
You
They
know what
can't
I
make
mean?
up a lie no more. And you know, we got videos, they got videos, we got videos just like them. We got cameras just like them. But check this out. Now I also wanted to talk about, you know how when a cop kills a black man, they always try after they kill him, they try to assassinate his character and make it
Yes.
look like he was such a bad person. So we probably did a society a favor by killing him, you know. But this, if you look at his character, before they started racing all this stuff off of the internet, this
Uh,
he had a good character. I found a video of him talking, saying that he wants to talk about our youth and how we need to train them up and help our youth and stuff like that. He was very positive. His best friend, uh, his name was let me find the picture. Here it is. Just a minute. His best
okay.
friend was a basketball player named uh, Stephen Jackson. He's an NBA star. He's an ex NBA star, right? And
Right. Yeah, that's the one that was crying. Yes. Uh huh.
yeah, and let me get a picture of him. About that picture. Okay, I'm gonna go back to it real quick, but I'm gonna show you Stephen Jackson real quick. My thing go hit. Let me go back to that picture so Mary can. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Now this is his best friend. They call each other twins. And he came out and spoke about his character. And he's
Uh
as an eyewitness that went through high school. Also, ironically, him and Roland Martin went to the same high school too as well. So Roland Martin knows him, but they know all about his character, and they say he was a really good man. He was really trying to help people, and he was church going, and there was times that he even helped out baptizing people, and but I guarantee within the next couple of days, like they always do, they're going to start assassinating his character. Now I'm gonna go back to these other
oh
pictures
yeah.
because Mary has something she wants to say about this. Oh, here, Mary.
Yeah, I wanted to say that this, even though, I mean, this is a beautiful picture of him and his daughter, but they used this picture to plant negative stuff. It says here on this picture, the autopsy revealed no physical finding that support a diagnosis of a traumatic asphyxiation or strangulation. Mr. Floyd had underlying health conditions, including coronary artery and hypertensive heart disease. The combined effect of Mr. Floyd being restrained by the police, his underlying health conditions, and any potential intoxication in his system likely contribute to his death. So this is how they're going to try to get this man off.
Right.
They're going to
Right.
try to
Yep.
say that what he was doing did not cause the death. But if you look at that
Exactly.
video, if you look at that video really good, when he took his knee off his neck looked like it was broke. You could see the bone in his neck. But
Right.
they could pay people for to give them what they want to give them for autopsies. You know what I mean? The people just
Oh
like this
yeah.
cops being paid, crooked cops being paid off. So can the court? They could put this false advertisement up here, saying that you're trying to say that his death wasn't caused by that man's knee on his neck.
But the reason the reason the cop's not going to get out because he was trained not to use that procedure. He's trained not to do that. So he chose to do it knowing that it would take a life of somebody
Right,
out.
Okay,
You
right,
know
hold
what I
on.
right,
mean?
We got Christian, what's in that
right.
Christian Seahall?
Okay, I'm
Okay,
So
listening.
thanks for
seven,
clearing that up.
17 years. Yeah, they worked the same place.
Same place with who?
Him and the cop worked at the same place together for 17 years.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. He's speaking to you guys now?
No, she's right here. You see her? You see her right here?
Yeah. Yeah.
She started off.
Oh, okay.
This is what she said. We saw this speech today.
Talking about the basketball player.
Okay, and then what happened? We were told that an officer, worked at the same place for 17 years. So, with that being said, they had a relationship, whether it was a good or bad relationship or indifference. They had a relationship, just like if you work somewhere in the same place, you have a relationship because you are co-workers, or you might not even, know about the person. You might not have never been to their house, or ate dinner with them, but you still know them, and you know them by name after 17 years. And
And by
then,
the way that he killed him, the way that the officer killed uh, George, it's as if he knew him. He knows something about him, and only because of the fact for 3 extra minutes after George Floyd died, he kept his knee on his neck to make sure that he was dead. So there, actually, he was trying to cover something up and make sure this man was dead. In my opinion, this is probably just my opinion, but he made sure this man was dead and would not get back up because he kept his knee there after he knew the man was not moving anymore. So and then he kept that
Yes.
smirk on his face.
Yes. So there's something big that's I don't know if they're gonna let the media pick up on it. You know what I mean? Um, but uh, there was something more between these two, for him to go after him like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and then and I agree with the protesters too. I think those officers that were there at the scene, they should be locked up also. They shouldn't be out there free. They should have been arrested because they aided and abated this whole, the Korean man looked like he was the lookout man. He kept looking to see was the people coming. You know, the other ones when he went around the other side of the car, he was kneeling all down on his back and neck and legs. So clearly they were trying to. They knew they were murdering him. You know what I mean? Did he see something he wasn't supposed to see? You know what I mean? But they definitely wanted him out of the picture.
Right.
Definitely wanted him out of the picture.
You're right, sister. And then she said for $20. He got murdered for $20. Come on. It's more than just $20. There's a whole nother story that nobody's telling.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole nother story behind this because, generally they just give you a citation. You know what I mean? You know how many people probably got a bad
You hear what she just said?
bill? You know what I mean? You don't know when you count out money, you don't check to look and see. You like, I'm gonna compare these two 20s together or something like that. You just go into the store and you buy stuff. You know, I just don't. Why did the store owner single him out? If it looked like a really like that fake money like that, why the store owner just say, man, get out of the store, don't come back in here with that crap? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why did he call the cops on him? And they came rolling in like full force. Here comes the fire company. Here comes the light company, and here comes the gas company. Here comes the gas company, the ones that work on the pipes. To shut everything down. Everybody was there. You know
Right.
what I mean? So um, there's definitely a deep concern about the mother's relationship with uh, the young man. You know what I mean? So there's definitely something they're hiding. They wanted to hide the truth by making sure that he did not live again. So um, it's gonna come out that the wife is probably no good and she was in cahoots too. You know what I mean? And she might end up getting arrested. You know what I mean?
Right. Now,
So
Christine, you hit on a good thing that because we were talking about that earlier about the murder. He got third degree, and my wife was saying if you really look at it, a lot of lawyers have said that third degree is even better because you don't have to with third degree you don't have to prove that his state of mind, whether he was premeditated murder or whatever. But with first degree, you have to prove that he had intentions, he had premeditation in his mind to kill this man. But with third degree, you get 25 years. Now he could get off, or he can get to 25 years. But with third degree, it's easier to convict him. With first degree, is you have to prove his state of mind. You have to prove that the cop's state of mind. You have to prove George Floyd's state of mind. You have to prove all the other officers' state of mind, which is hard to do. But he was definitely murdered in cold blood. So let's talk about this. The third degree, he gets 25 years. You know, but if you got a lawyer like Johnny Cochran and somebody type of lawyer, I mean, come on, he'd get convicted. But if not, if they planted evidence and stole stuff out of his car.
About the well, what I have read and what I was listening to, if since I mean with the third degree charge on him, that gives them the ability to arrest him and charge him with something. Now they said there was another cop who killed the person. He shot his gun. He didn't intentionally went to shoot that person, but when he shot, the person got killed. I mean, the person died. He was shooting, and an innocent person got shot. So they got third degree, and that was a harder case to trial than this one is because Derek, the ex-cop, is actually, in a position where he has a man crying out, I can't breathe. And then, what I think, he's seen his mom, because he started calling his mom passed away 2 years ago. So for him to call his mom, knowing that she has already crossed over, he was, at that point of crossing over. Now, without, you don't have no compassion or no feeling at all that you're getting ready to take somebody's life, that they're calling a grown man calling his mama, there is something wrong with you. It is first degree murder, no doubt, but they're going to have to, if they're going to have to prove that,
Right.
that is first degree, So until they can do that, they got him under third degree.
Right. Now let's answer that question that she just put up there.
What she put up there?
Uh, it says, if we prove that there was a previous relationship they had, and premeditates can
Yeah,
come out of that.
that's what I said. Since if you look, Christine, they said that they worked together. I mean, okay, George worked on Tuesdays because it was Urban Night. But if you read the write up that the owner of the club said, he said there's no doubt that their cross didn't pass. You know, because Derek worked there like 4 or 5 days out of the week, and George worked there one day out of the week. But on that Tuesday, everybody was there. They were all working together. So that tells me they had a relationship, and that tells me that that could be premeditated. When he seen that guy or ran his license plates, because I think he was the one still in the police vehicle when they walked him over there to that other vehicle. He was the one that was still in the police vehicle, or he came afterwards. He came from somewhere. He either heard his name on the radio when they was calling in his license plates. Somehow he got himself there on that scene, and somehow he got his knee on his neck. That's why I also think that, since he was a ball player, when he was, he played ball and he was friends with, the other ball player, and ball players are taking knees. I think he decided to make an example on top of his relationship with him in the past, that he take a knee to his neck.
True, true. Yeah, and in the 17 years of them knowing each other, definitely will come in.
So, tell us a little bit more about this statement, the white woman.
Yeah, they cross paths. But who the white woman, the cop's wife? Are you talking about her?
What happened to Calvin? Oh,
I think he got knocked off.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that relationship needs to be explored because it's the am I echoing?
I think you're off. Okay.
Uh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Elaborate more on the white woman.
yeah. She said, "Oh, she said I thought you were trying to remember the case." Oh, yeah, because well, actually, now let's look at this. He has a girlfriend, and then he had a white woman who came out and said that she was his fiance. I'm talking about George Floyd. Um, but his girlfriend, he has a girlfriend now who's that's his woman. The white woman, she went on TV, tried to say that she was his fiance, but she sounded so crazy. She the statements that she made, and all of a sudden she disappeared off of the media. So I think that was a little hoax that they put on there. And then if you're talking about the cop's wife who divorced him, now that could be part of the story too. This man might have killed him because maybe who knows? There's something going on between him and the cop's wife because he was trying so hard to make sure this man died.
She's saying, the case of the cop that shot the white woman. That was a black cop that did that. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Oh,
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
the
it. We got
black
it.
cop that shot the white woman. Yeah.
Um, now, we're missing Calvin, but we could actually you can explain it better. My wife can send you a link, and you can come on here with us. Actually,
Yeah,
um,
if you like to weigh in and voice your opinion, we would love to have you on the show.
uh, just let us know. We'll send you the link right now. We're talking to you, Christine.
All right, yeah, but yeah, that the what's she
Oh,
right?
she said.
Oh, she's talking about what you talking about? What Calvin was talking about? He might have, he might have been.
Right, correct.
Because I didn't read about that story. What I did read about, what I did read about was a case where Derek, the ex cop, he was called on a domestic violence call, and the guy that was in the domestic violence with his girlfriend, he said he ran into the bathroom and locked himself in the bathroom, and then the cop actually he kicked the door in and started beating on him, and he was trying to defend himself from the cop, and then the cop grabbed his gun and shot him in the stomach 2 times, and but he lived, thank God. He said that he wasn't, like, in his mind, he was never trying to grab his gun. He was just trying to protect himself because he was beating on him.
She said send her the link.
I am. I'm trying to find her. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we're about to send you the link. Oh, I know that story. That story you're talking about, Mary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, expand on that story again, because I heard the same story, but I didn't hear the full thing.
Yeah, it was a story like that. He has 18 different accounts. 18 different cases against him. I think they said 16 of them was thrown out. Um, they were thrown out, and so, but the one case, the guy who got shot, he was actually charged with I think, attempted murder or something, because the guy George said he tried to grab his gun, but the guy George was on a call for domestic violence. By the time he got there, the situation was diffused. The man had locked himself in the bathroom. He should have told the man to come out the bathroom. Somebody has to leave out of this house, or somebody's going to jail. But instead, he busted the door down and went in there and started beating up the guy. Who does that? And then he shot the guy. I think the guy's last name was Hernandez. I think that was his name.
Now hold up, George. Are you asking us, are we liberals? Are you asking, is libturds shorts for liberals? Because if you're calling us turds, go ahead and say it. Say it out of your mouth. Don't try to disguise it. You're asking us, if are we liberals? So that's what the problem is. If you got something to say it. I could be wrong, because a libtard could be something else. So can you explain what a libtard is?
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, Mary, did you send her the link?
Mhm.
Okay, Kristen, you can go ahead and come on. Hit the link. George, you're more than welcome to come in too, to explain to us what libtards actually mean.
No. Depends on what he wants to talk about.
Yeah, because he hasn't explained it. So I would like to know what a libtard is, because it sounds like he's trying to say liberals, but call us a turd at the same time. Libturd, which is not cool. Oh man, it's out, huh? Oh, he calling us a liberal retard. That's not nice, because I don't even call people with Down syndrome a retard. You call them he's a Trump. Oh, he's a Trump level. He got a Trump hat on his page. We're getting attacked by, because we're sympathizing with a man who was killed by a cop, who was murdered by a cop. He's calling us libtards. So that just goes to show libtard.
I think that's kind of like an insult, libtard.
Oh, it's more.
Right.
It's more than just kind of a insult. It is an insult and a half. And he's not agreeing with what we're saying, because obviously he agrees that white cop should have killed this man. He agrees with the same thing that Trump says, that Trump, even though I'd pray for Trump just like Nancy Pelosi does. How about that, George? I pray for Trump too, and I believe that this man was killed in cold blood murder, cold blood, And we can't make fun of it, and you can't be coming on here calling us lib towards.
Christine, look in your
Yeah,
message. I sent it in your message.
in your messenger.
Yeah, in your messenger, your Facebook messenger. So it might be underneath. I don't know. Would it appear? It won't be coming from my Facebook though. It'll be coming from somewhere else.
Right. So,
So,
George,
George,
we're
we're
giving
giving
you
you
all
all
the
the
opportunity
opportunity.
to come on and explain yourself. If not, just sit back and listen. Just sit back and listen, and yeah, and just sit back and listen and learn something, because we're trying to talk about this. We're trying to talk about a lot of things that the media is not showing and stuff like that. Me as a black man, I believe that could have been me. That could have been my brother. I have 7 brothers. That could have been my nephews, one of my grandsons, one of my sons. That could have been my wife. That could have been my daughters. And to you, it's a joke. And if we disagree with anything that Trump says, or if we disagree with anything a Republican says, that's just a disagreement. But as you notice, we didn't come on and try to diss or disrespect any Republicans. So what you need to do is keep it positive, and you can actually come on a show. And I am a Democrat, and if you're a Republican, we already went on your page and saw you had a Trump hat on. So if you're a Republican, we need to come and have common ground. We need to talk about these things, because too many black people getting killed, and just because we want to come out and speak out on whether black men are being murdered, which they are, you shouldn't get mad and come on and try to disrupt, just like the neo-Nazis are doing with the protesters right now. You're trying to disrupt what we're doing and change the narrative. You want us to talk about liberal toys, or whatever you call it, lib turds or lib nerds or whatever it is. You're trying to change the narrative, because that's what the neo-Nazis are. So I'm going to ask you the same question. Since you called us that, are you a neo-Nazi? Are you a skinhead or a white supremacist? Because most of white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and skinheads, not all of them, but a great majority of them, are Trump supporters. Thank you. Okay, I'm about to Christine, I'm about to send you the link, because hold on. Send me the link, Mary, real quick. Go ahead, talk to the people.
It's right here. Just copy that. Okay, I'm back. I was trying to. I think maybe because um, sometimes you can't send people if you're not friends with them. So maybe that's why you didn't get it. But yeah, enough enough of that negative stuff. What we're trying to do. We were talking earlier about the protesters being set up. They out there being set up because it started. For the people that's protesting for George is out there protesting peacefully. But you got other people out there starting trouble. Um, they already said it on the news that there's a lot of white supremacists out there. There's people who have issues with the government, issues with just hate people with hate crimes and everything. I mean, not hate crimes, but people hate groups out there, and they're just busting windows. And I was looking at a news report earlier, and the lady was saying they were saying people were saying, don't do that. Why are you doing that? People running up just breaking windows. But they're trying to set up. I was saying that, earlier show, I was saying how that statement that President Trump did make, he said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, to me was him giving people, especially the white supremacists who carry guns, the planting that notion in their head that they could go up there and shoot somebody after they done broke the window, bust the door open, and people went in there and started looting, Then they had the other people come up and just start shooting them because they say they're citizens and they got a right to a citizen's arrest, and they seen this person committing a crime, so they took it upon themselves to stop them. So I think that is we should continue to protest until those other cops are arrested, and then we should also protest with sense. We should be there. We should be there out there in the. We should be there out there in the daytime, and when the sun goes down, then we should come home and let those other people be out there doing whatever they're doing. Can you hear us, Christine? We can't see you. Are you there?
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if I want to be seen.
Oh.
You guys are fading in and out. Norman, it's not a problem for me to be on camera, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been up all day listening and going through all these TV things and watching all these videos that's disturbing my peace, but I'm trying to maintain. I'm not hearing though. I'm not sure. I'm not hearing. If you guys are hearing me, I'm not hearing you guys.
How about now? Is that good?
Oh, much better. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead and weigh in because you were with us, we left off with you, and one of the things I wanted to hear from you is when we were talking about the murder itself, and also the white woman, and we just want, before you go on, I just want to let everybody know that's watching that we don't mean any harm. We're not here to attack any political party or anything like that. We just want to get down to some answers that a lot of people are thinking and talking about as far as why this man got murdered, why, what reason, and other things that the media is not even talking about. But don't come on here with uh, any kind of political statements and stuff like that. Right now, we're not talking about anything political, although there's a lot of political things involved with this murder, but we won't go there yet. So, Christine, go ahead and expand on what you were saying.
Okay, but before you do, let us know what city you coming from. You said it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so where are you calling in from?
From Florida.
Oh, okay, all right. So
Let her
go ahead and weigh in on what's going.
Let her know I wasn't talking about her either.
Oh no,
Well,
you heard that.
yeah, well, basically, when I saw you guys, I plugged up and I saw the show and I saw a comment. And when you were trying to, I thought you were going to the story of a similar story of what happened to George um, in Minneapolis. I thought you were referring to the police officer that shot the white woman, supposedly accidentally, and swiftly he was given 10 years in prison. So I thought that's what you were trying to bring about. So I was just throwing in there a little into what you might be thinking of, or where your thought process may have been going.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you could go ahead and expound on that.
Well, basically, I mean, just watching this whole thing, like I've seen it, what everybody else have seen it, it's just from the video, and from the video, it's so darn obvious. There is no if, ands, or but about how and why this man was murdered. I mean, first you were seeing the angle of just him sitting on his neck. Then you start seeing videos on the other side of how they put him and calmly. I saw nothing in any videos that show that George was resisting or creating any kind of havoc. They went to the car and they called him out, and they do what they do. They roughed him up a little bit. The next thing you know, you saw on camera he was on ground. All the police was holding him down. The man was on his neck. What can he do? A grown man. This is a mature man. This is somebody, a man. This is the figure that's in your household that's supposed to be the leader of your household. This is not where you want to see your black man being modern day lynching, I would call that. Modern day lynching. Nothing less. That's what that was. That was point blank murder. And I
Exactly.
just thought that was totally wrong, along with a lot of people. So I'm not even going to listen to the naysayers where they're talking their bull and saying all kind of thing, trying to detract from the facts of it. We need to stick with the fact and write the facts.
Right.
Now, what about, can you hear me?
Put your mic on.
What about the guy who did kill a white woman? What was his charges?
Um, I thought he was also. I thought he was second. I don't remember what degree he got, but it's still online there. I'm even post some things on my Facebook page where they're showing the comparison. I mean, I saw how these people creatively can put pictures together, but how they were showing comparatively that he shot the white woman, and how he swiftly got the 10 years. I remember the story when it popped online, and I saw it, and I thought, wow, that was really quick. He's arrested. And all this time they've been murdering our black man, and all they're doing is firing these police officers because they're white and they're coming back. They're making their holiday pay and coming back to work. But it's this black man killed this white woman. I didn't know the details of it. I thought they said he was surprised by her or whatever the situation was. I don't know. But swiftly, his punishment came on him just like that,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
as
Exactly.
opposed to this blatant murder.
Right.
So
Um,
that's the thing that we're upset about.
yes, yes. Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, we just need to, we need justice, and I mean, but I, it's kind of like that was one incident, and it was also, yeah, the cop that there was another difference between, it was a white cop that killed a black man. Remember, she went into his house with it,
Right,
and
exactly. The female officer that went in here to talk about, she thought that was her apartment.
right. She was all intoxicated. Went to the wrong place. Yeah, and killed him. Yeah, she did. She got like a little slap on the wrist. It was.
Exactly.
Also, when the let me fix this right.
Your mic's gone.
Now,
Okay,
oh,
there.
is it okay? Also, when they were protesting down in and where Trump won there and said that there's good on both sides. What city was that? Uh,
North Carolina.
yes, and the girl that got ran over by the white supremacists, they
Exactly.
came up they came up with a verdict so quick. The white woman that was ran over, and what I don't understand is like just like right now we just got attacked by this guy George who says us are we liberals? He could just came up. He called us libtards,
Oh, I saw that. I saw that, and we're not
but
paying attention.
but
We're not going to give him the time of the day.
right. But I just want to know why when we as black people, but white people's a lot on here too, want to get down to the business of why this is happening and why the people think it's strange, because it's not strange. Because I was just saying before you came on that it could have been, I have 7 brothers. It could have been me, it could have been one of my brothers, could have been my son, could have been my nephews, it could have been a lot of people, and we just want to get down to business of why this is happening for the 45,000th time. Why is another black man getting killed, and this time it's just so blatantly just evil the way this man was killed. But why? And we want to get down to the questions that the media is not asking. The media right now, they took a lot of the focus off of George Floyd and put it on the protesters. But we need to and before this story gets buried and before they decide to assassinate George Floyd's character, we're just trying to get down to the business of this. And so you came up with some good points, very good points, Christine. And what the question I want to ask you is once say that the verdict is finally read, and they're talking about third degree, which he might get 25 years or he might get off. It could turn into another a Rodney King thing where nobody gets arrested, nobody gets charged or anything. you know Once it's this verdict, or we get close to it and we find out what the verdict is, or we find out who's driving the car, whether it's this is the powers that be that's controlling this into the narrative of something negative or something positive. What do you think about this? What do you think about the? You want to talk about that? What do you think about the what do you think about this whole situation? Do you think that which direction do you think it's going to go? Because right now it's going to the direction where everybody is focused off of George himself, the main thing that started.
Well, let's take this in pieces. One of the things that and I assume you posted up there, let's stick to the facts, stick to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not be distracted by what I was watching. Accidentally had the TV on Fox News, and they were talking about, oh, riots, 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 and this is, your whatever with George, and nobody's talking about that anymore. And that's not true, because the more
Right.
you say something, you think that it's going to become the new narrative. But if they say no, riots, riots, right, but we have to keep it of where it's supposed to be, which is George Floyd.
Right.
We have to
Correct.
keep it there. We can't
Mm-hmm.
have them distract us, and that's exactly what they're trying to do, is to distract us. But we cannot do that. We cannot follow that narratives, because what brought us here is George Floyd,
Correct.
and what's going to keep us here is George Floyd. So if you get distracted in the midst of what you're doing, then that's when you're going to lose sight, and we can't lose
Right.
sight. This is too much to lose sight.
Right. Right. Correct. And then the distraction is coming in also with the we were talking about earlier about the protesters, because the distraction is coming in because there's neo Nazis and skinheads that are mixing in with the
And mega,
protesters, and they're trying to distract and make it look like the people who are positive protesters are actually the looters. And
mhm.
so we know that that process of the distraction. Even our president tried to distract. He'll say something on Twitter to take the focus off 100,000 people dying from coronavirus. So that distraction thing is always happening. But we know that this time it's different, because of the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. This time is different because this man was killed in such a brutal way, and um, you know, just like my wife just got through reading
Forget
already, they're assassinating his character and changing the narrative to a whole different story. The same thing happened with Sandra Bland. Same thing happened with a lot of people that were
going all
killed.
the way back, all the way
Right.
back.
Hmm.
I get you. They're going all the way back. They're assassinating a character. But again, I am in this stand your ground, speak the truth of what you're on. If you came on here to talk about this subject, this is what your subject going to go and talk about. You're going to start
Right.
it yesterday, and you're going to continue tomorrow, and you're going to continue until this whole thing is over. You're not going to be swayed to the other side to talk about riots, because that
Right.
was the plan. The plan, these people, I mean, Trump says it. He can't help but to tell on himself. And you know what?
All
I
right.
fast, and I'm so passionate about this that it hurts me, and it's like I have all this thing that wants to flow out. But Trump cannot help but to tell on himself. He went on
That's
news
right.
talking about Mega love black people, and they want to be a part of this. That was his symbol and his sign, telling them, come to Washington. He did that also. Come to Washington. They're gonna come here. His sign that go be part of the protest, and they're telling them of sending subliminal messages to their people to go do things.
Correct.
There's an excerpt, not an excerpt, but I'm watching CNN now, and this black man looks rather young, and he came on articulately. In his plan of what they're planning to do, and he articulately outlined what they're doing. And if you get a clip of that and you keep running that, then that's what you stick with.
Correct.
On
Yeah.
CNN, he came and he said, and the reporter was there, and they're marching and they're being tear gassed. And he said, we are here. If you are here to riot, we are not a part of that. We are here because of George Floyd. We are here because we are the gap between the generation that started and the generation to come. And if we don't do what we are to do right now, then it's going to fall to the wayside again. And if you can get a clip of that and keep playing that, that is your narrative. That is why we are here.
Correct. Correct. Because a lot in a lot of my I have we work with a lot of young people, me and my wife and I, and a lot of them are, they're asking questions about the same things we're talking about, first of all. And they're like stuck between protesting in the street or protesting in the courts, you which you can do both. But they want to know, they haven't seen what we seen in the 60s. I just told my age, whoops. But I mean, I'm not that old. I'm sorry. When I
And
in the 60s,
age come with them.
right. And so you know, we seen the marches in Selma, and we seen a lot of things, and we've been seeing it for years, and a lot of times a lot of times uh uh how would you call it, a a positive protest works, you know but I believe that this do you think, Mary, do you think that George Floyd is a martyr, and so is the policeman that murdered him? And if these things didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Well, I don't think the policeman is, but I think that as it stands, he was his death is like a martyr because it it it, it ushered in a new age. That we have to stand up for not just for him, but for you know all the black men and women that's being killed. For no reason, just being killed, just from being in your own house. Going to the store, buying some smokes or whatever, or being on the outside, doing little misdemeanor things like selling cigarettes, or not even doing that, sitting in your house playing a game with your nephew. The lady got killed. She was just in her own house, minding her own business. You know, Someone said that she don't leave her door open. So the cop came in there and he shot her through the window. You know, I believe that we haven't seen anything like this since back in the '60s. Or no, that's not right. When Rodney King, since Rodney King's death, we haven't seen anything like this. But like, I believe a lot of it is not our people. It's not the people who's fighting for Black Lives Matter or who's protesting George Floyd's death. They're peacefully protesting. Then you have other people out there causing, uproar. You know, um, we can't hear them though. We
I
can't
wasn't
hear them.
trying to play it for you to hear. I wanted you to see the clip. So if you ever go back,
Uh huh.
turn the TV down. So this is the clip. This is the young man I was referring to. So it did continue there. It is on Facebook. It is on, this is CNN, of what he presented. So this is what I was saying. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mary, because it popped on the screen. I wanted you to see it. So
Oh no, that's fine.
but yeah, and just to address on the thing about that man being a martyr, he's not going to be a martyr. The martyrism started from when we start to talk about the first black person, not the first black person, but it's in this line of how Eric Gardner going all the way back, Sandra Bland, and Trayvon Martin. Those are
Right.
this just heightens it even more. And
Yeah.
this white murderer is going to go down in history like the woman in the elevator that said that black man, whatever he did to her, and scream. And so Tulsa, that city, Black Wall Street, became nothing but dust. So that's how he's going to go down.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree full-heartedly.
I
Because
want.
go ahead, man.
I wanted to show. I wanted to share my screen. I wanted to show this clip. I mean, this video that I seen on Facebook. You might have seen it already, but I don't think you've seen it, Dwayne. But you might have seen it, Christine. But I wanted to share it to see. Is it sharing?
Uh, there it is.
Do I get sound with it?
It should sound on the video.
Can you hear it?
I see the picture of it. I see it there. I'm not hearing it yet.
Oh, okay.
It
Well,
should sound on the video or something.
okay. I gotta stop it then. No, it was I gotta figure out how to share the sound too. But I wanted to weigh in on that video. But go ahead, Dwayne or Christina.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, I just okay. Let me take it from here. I saw a few things, and like we've been we're since we're quarantined, and a lot of us we're trying to be smart, and we're not trying to be out there and doing a whole lot of things, but at the same time, while we're quarantined, we're a lot of people or seeing a lot of this stuff every day, all through the day, just like you are, Christine, and just like we are, and we're seeing a lot of this, and it's such a heartbreaking thing. you know um, I'm not even concentrated on the protesters either, because I believe that all they're doing is exercising the constitutional right. But I believe that it's such a heartbreaking thing to see um, this man was somebody's son. That he has a mother that he called out on while he was being killed. It's so powerfully profound the way the media and people around us are portraying this. But what we didn't do and what we didn't have back in the 60s and 70s were phones with cameras. And since we captured this and we got to see this on live television, live video, and we seen the brutality of the murder itself and how gross it was and gruesome it was more like a horror story. It's hitting so hard. It's hitting like as if Martin Luther King got killed, or Malcolm X was assassinated. It's that type of hard pounding, just makes you so sad just to think about it. And even though neither one of us knew Floyd, but we know that our sons and our daughters, this could happen to them. And this is what making is. I'm just trying to explain this because I have a whole lot of Republican friends on here, and I want to respect them, but I want to make sure that they know my point of view while I'm talking about these things, because it's really hitting hard, and it's something that's dear to my heart that we need to get answers for before this all turns into a charade like it usually does. So you're right. We're going to continue talking about this, and we're not going to let the narrative get changed by anybody, whether it be media, whether it be politics, whether it be another person who disagrees. We are still going to gravitate to the story itself of this black man who was brutally murdered by a serial. I mean, the cop that murdered him had so many priors and so many things that he did
that they got away
so,
with.
yeah, he got away with. So he finally got caught. So, we need to do this thing together. Where it don't even matter what political party you are in. We need to work together and make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because sooner or later, just like crack spilled over to white people, just like opioids spill over to white people, so will the cops who murder black people spill over to white people. Pretty soon, although I see a double standard, because there was a young man that went into a church and killed 9 people, and they served them McDonald's, But this cop, they went and they guarded his house. They had several cops on several police, and they guarded his house to make sure nobody harmed him. And he didn't get convicted for what was it, 3 or 4 days? And he's really still not convicted.
They had more than several cops.
Right.
There was like about, it was over 50 cops outside that man's house. Like he was, right. Like he was innocent.
They're protecting their own.
With that, why do cops always say all cops protect each other? All people protect each other too, but I think that's the biggest problem, because a lot of policemen, even though there's a lot of them came out that said that it was despicable about the way he murdered this man, but a lot of cops don't tell on each other. They I mean, I guess they're in fear of losing their job, or in fear of retaliation within the force. But what's with that? It's been going on for centuries about cops hushing about stuff that's going on. What's going on with what's up with that?
It's true. It's a lot of that. And the truth is, and the truth be told is, they're talking out now and it's because it's heated. But the truth is they go back and they get hurt. They go back and they say something. They're not covered. It's almost like the same thing you see in the movies, like, okay, this guy spoke and he's not with us. Let's be, if you get a call, let's not back him up. Those things do happen. It is real. But I do believe with anything, just like now with this protest, when you speak up and everybody starts to doing it, it starts to become not the norm. It starts to become real. And that's what we need to do, is to be real. And going back to a point that you made there, saying that, you don't know George, or this could be, my thing is, this could have been my husband. It could have been my brother. I don't have to know him. It's the senseless way in which it was done. And he could have been a white man. And I would have still said the same thing, but it's not. And it never will be. Your voice have gone.
Once it gets to the point, that point again, I like that point that you just made, that you wouldn't care whether, am I on?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Once that you I forgot the point. Oh, the point that you just made, that it could have been a white man that this happened to, and you still will have the same level of outrage. Is that what you said? I agree full-heartedly, because nobody should be killed like that. Nobody should be killed at all, first of all. But it was in lynching. It was a modern day lynching, 2020 style. And nobody should be killed like that. But we're seeing this. It's like all over again. Here we go again. It's bad enough that a man was jogging and got hunted down and shot down within a couple weeks ago. And now we have another man who was brutally killed. So what do you expect us to do? To sit back and let you just keep killing us?
Exactly.
Or what should we do? What should we do? And I think there's all kind of solutions, but it starts. We just can't blow on the police, because elected officials or Senate or a House, politicians, they're to blame too, because a lot of these policies that they let the police get away with, they elected themselves to vote on, and they voted on things that give these police a lot of power, especially the crooked ones.
Yeah, if you give police power, they're all in there, so they get it too. In modern day lynching, and they're in their new costume, which is the police uniform. And so, going back to say, what should we do? What should we do is what we're doing right now, protesting. And if it means that some buildings are going to burn, and trust me that I don't want to see that, but that's how it turns out. And that's going to be that marker, that staples that says, you know what, this was real. These people are not taking it anymore. Then so be it. God knows I don't want to see people place burning in businesses and stuff like that. But when I hear people putting emphasis, oh, this building is burning. Oh, look at Target, look at the bank. I tell you what, you can rebuild those, but you could never rebuild the lives of these people or their family.
Right.
When you're focusing on building, I don't care about the focusing on building. What you just did brought about this reaction. And you could have fixed that years ago, a long time ago, and you still didn't. And so we reached the boiling point of where we're doing what we're doing now. But do not tell me that your focus is on building and not the life of the man and woman that went down tragically and murderously, like they have been done.
Yeah.
Their lives will never be rebuilt, and their family lives will never be rebuilt. And we become this status quo again, home without a father, because you're killing the fathers.
Correct. I agree with all that. Because I'm seeing.
Wait,
Oh, wait,
I have you on mute. I wanted to share something before we go back into that conversation, because I had put up this point or this topic point that I wanted to talk about earlier. Was this a hate crime? And I was just searching the internet again, and I was looking for that the news clip that I had read yesterday, but this one is different, but it has more information. And it says George. It's by. It's on the. CBS
News
Minnesota
website.
website. It says George Floyd and former Minnesota police officer Derek Chauvin both worked as security guards at the same nightclub as recently as last year, but its former owner says she's not sure if they knew each other. What she is certain of is how aggressive Officer Derek Chauvin became when the club hosts events that drew a mainly black clientele, responding to fights by taking out his mace and spraying the crowd, a tactic she told him was unjustified and overkill. He would mace everyone instead of apprehending the people who were fighting, said Maya Santa Maria, former owner of El Nuevo Rodeo Club in Minnesota. He would call backup. The next thing you would know, there would be 5 or 6 squad cars. Chauvin became the focus of outrage and 4 days of street protests across the nation. Oh, this is about him killing George. But yeah, he was pretty, just reading this article, it goes on and on and on about how his behavior was towards the African American clientele, and it says while Chauvin's off-duty job at that club over 17 years until a few months ago, Floyd only started working there recently as a bouncer and only worked about a dozen events, but it was only on the African on black nights. So just his behavior, she said he didn't do that on them other nights with the Latino crowds, only on black nights that he would just,
So I can see an interaction happening right now. Could you see that he doesn't like the blacks, and then
right.
he might have had a run-in with Floyd at one point? Like, oh, dude, you were the one that worked at the club. I can see where that thing can come up.
Yeah, because she said that, you know, wait a minute, here we go. I told him I thought this is unnecessary to pepper spray. The knee-jerk reaction of being afraid, it seems overkill, Santa Mary said. It was a concern, and I did voice my opinion, but police officers have a way of justifying what they do.
Mm.
She said she was shocked to see the video of him pinning Floyd to the ground by his knee, and Floyd complaining that he couldn't breathe. I thought he would have more of a conscience, she said, even if he is a bit racist. This is the owner of the club. He's a human being. At what point does your humanity overpower your racial bias? Thomas Kelly, a lawyer for Chavez, didn't immediately reply to message left Friday seeking comments. Oh, okay. But yeah, so even the club owner is saying that he was racist.
You see that? She was shocked to see the video because she saw how far he took it, but she's not surprised because she know of his character.
The media should be calling this a hate crime then. Correct?
It's a hate crime.
It's a hate crime. Because he killed him. I mean, look, we got all this evidence. Then he has a picture of himself with Make America White Again hat on. So it's a hate crime. And that's what it's just like people always say a spade is a spade. If it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's a hate crime. This man killed him because he was black, because of the jealousy that was instilled in him from centuries of racial injustice. He was killed because he was black. So it's a hate crime, right?
And I guess they thought that he was going to get a movement up into the club too with that kill. He was going to prove himself to his people too.
That's deep. That's deep.
Look at it.
Yeah. It's I'm starting to see, because we might get cut off. Because I just seen, remember the video we put up yesterday, Mary, with the young lady got up there and she said, well, they're burning down Target, but how come Target is not out here marching with us? Remember she said that?
Well, that video was taken down.
It was taken down? I put it on my page.
Yes, it was taken off my page.
They're censoring some of us.
Yeah. You still got it, Mary?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that with me? And I'll turn it on here.
Yeah.
and everything because somebody took it off my page, or I don't know, maybe I'm being too radical here. Um,
We all need to get radical. We need a change, and this is not normal. This is not. You cannot stand up to the flag and you put your hand on your chest and you said, if you don't do this with us, then you're not American. Well, I do it with you, but I'm still not treated like somebody who the words of the flag that you are repeating. So why should I? No sound.
Yeah, so now, just like you just said, to go with that, now we know why the football players were taking a knee, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
because they didn't agree. Even back then, when the football players were taking a knee and they refused to put their hand on their heart, it's because of the
Mhm,
injustice that
mhm,
we are still seeing, the
mhm,
slavery that we're still seeing. A lot of these things are done to put us in a mentality of fear. Black
mhm,
people, to put black people in a mentality of fear.
mhm.
We feel like, okay, we can't go outside because there's a chance that we might get killed, not by the coronavirus, but by our own
Fair.
law enforcement. And so that fear, it's trying to be instilled in us. Then they take the fear, and after we try to protest it, they try to throw in a couple of neo Nazis and skinheads and to mingle in
Mhm,
with the protesters.
mhm.
Just to keep the fear there. Just to say, okay, go ahead
but
and
in
protest. We're
protest,
still
we
going to
still gonna
blame it on
blame it
you.
on you.
You
You
know,
know,
and
and
go ahead,
go
man.
ahead, Mary.
And they act like they can't find out who's shooting in the crowd. Someone pulled up in the car and shot in the crowd and shot 7 people. They're saying they're investigating and try to see. Now you got thousands of people out there. How fast can that car get away?
Right?
And you got cameras on street corners, so you can look in the cameras. They haven't destroyed the cameras yet. You can see the person. You could get the car that drove away and shot 7 people.
Of
You know.
course. You see cars driving up to a police car just drove up in the crowd in New York, but the barrier running people over. And Bellagio is like, that is, he's looking at it. It's like, see, look at what we're protesting for and look at what they're still doing. Do you really think they're getting it?
No,
No.
I
They're
don't
trying
think
to
that.
shift. They're trying to shift the focus to something else. They're trying to say that the crowd is unruly and they
Mm-hmm.
need to be
Look what
stopped.
police
They
go
need to be
through.
shot. They need to be.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to. They're not. They took the focus off of George Floyd. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're taking the focus on, these people, they're protesting, they're destroying the city, they have to be stopped, arrest them, shoot them, do whatever you have to do. I'll send the army in, stomp on them. Meanwhile, you done sent these people in to cause this confusion.
Right, correct.
Well, you
You
know
To
know,
what,
take
and
Derek?
to take the focus off of George Floyd.
And that's what I came back to this. And again, I'm going to say, Mary Derek, you cannot take the focus off of the fact of what you started this on and what you've been talking about. Because when you do, then you become part of that statistic of, okay, this is what we're talking about now. And that was not what got you here. And this is not why you started this conversation, to be distracted. And the other thing that I wanted to make mention is that the way, and it being people of God and how you say words you speak. And I'm going to say it to you folks right now. You see, now when we're saying, oh, I think you said something earlier, Derek, about, I forgot what it was, but what came in my thought is this: we're always saying Black people are the only race that's never together. If we keep believing that foolishness, that's why they never think that we could come together and protest and do what we do. If we keep believing that narrative about ourselves, which is not true, whatever you speak, and you're going to walk into whatever you speak. So if we said we are people that we come together in times of crisis, then that's what it is. Because you see everybody else is doing. They said, oh, the Jews are together, the Spanish are together, these are together, the Asians are together. We're the only one that's never together, and that is not true.
That is a
Those are
big lie.
words they put out there to divide us and make us think that we are not one.
Right. And with the thing about it, to go along with that, because I think that this thing was created for us black people to go out there and protest, but I just love the fact that there's white people protesting with us, and we came together as one to protest. But white people came, Asians came, Hispanics came to protest with us, and so now that we're finally doing something together as black people, we actually had some people who are different nationalities helping out as well, but I agree with you, because the biggest lie that we believe is that we are not the minority. We are not the minority anymore. No, all these things that we were dealing with as black people are spilling over to different neighborhoods now. White neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, Asian neighborhoods, Indian neighborhoods, the same thing. So we're all dealing with the same thing now, especially with this coronavirus. So but as what I'm seeing now, that this death of George Floyd is bringing us even more closer together, and
Okay.
go
I
ahead.
just want to say we got about 5 more minutes, and what do you want to tell? What do you want to tell the people? What you really want them to know?
Right.
And we're gonna have another These Are the Last Days show tomorrow, and we hope you could join us tomorrow, Christine. But before we end this talk show, what do you want to say to the people?
The fact is, I would love to come back here again, because but stick to the fact. Um, we are people too. We are kings and queens. We bleed blood like everyone, and we just want to be treated equally, as it's stated in the flag, that we're beaten down and calling SOBs, because we want to be treated as what we're saying that the flag stands for. So I just want to say we want to stick to the facts, and we will not be detracted by what people are trying to make it out to be a riot. And we did ask for the help of the white community, because we know that when they stand up, it's almost like their color resists the police from taking action. So we thank them for that help, but there's other forms of white people that are in there, that was sent there, that doesn't belong there. We have to also
Yeah,
remember that.
yes, they're paid protesters. They are paid by an evil society, or just like my brother said, that they might be even being paid by the Trump organization itself. We don't know, but they're being
I'll say it if
paid,
you don't want to.
right? They're being paid to do this. They're not doing this for free. Their organizations are joining the positive protesters because they are being paid by an organization. Go ahead, Mary. Yeah.
I just want to, I agree with all that, and I just want to speak out to all the people of color and all the people that are supporting the people of color during this time, that, stick to protesting. We want justice. We want them other four police officers arrested, and we want justice. We want things to change. We want cops to have um, thorough psychological testing. They can't just let anybody become a police officer just because they're relatives, or somebody, like you got one cop. My father was a cop, or one female cop. My father was a cop. My mother was a cop. My grandparents. Go down the line. Just because somebody was in your family was a police officer, don't mean you are qualified to be a police officer. And because some of this racism is in, I ain't gonna say some of it. All of this racism is inbreeded into people. You're born into it. You're taught it. We have to have some type of system where that has to be recognized before you take on, or you're offered a job in this magnitude. Because when you're a police officer, you can't see color. You have to see crimes. You have to see, if this person's breaking the law, or this person needs help. You can't look at color. You can't say, oh, this is a black man, so I'm going to treat him this way, or this is a black woman, or this is a white woman. If you have those things, if those things come out in the test when you're applying for become a police officer or law enforcement officer or person, then you shouldn't be denied that position. That's what I want to say. And I also want to say, if you're out there, you're going out there every day and you're protesting, Don't be out there in the middle of the night. Don't be out there in the week when it started getting dark, 9, 10, 11, 12, when they're breaking and they're looting and setting things on fire. Don't be out there.
That's a good point.
And I want to leave with this point. Mary, go ahead and mute yourself. I want to leave with this point. I want to leave with this picture of this man. And, and also I want us, when we do the second segment of this show tomorrow, I want, actually, this is the third segment. When we do the third segment of this show tomorrow, I want to, we're going to go do our research. And I want to talk about the lawyers that were assigned to George Floyd's family. I want to talk about the lawyers that were assigned to the murdering cop. And I want to talk about the government officials, what they need to do to stop this madness, because a lot of times when a Black man is killed or a Black woman, they say nothing. This time they're actually saying something, but they're not, you got to put action behind your words. So I want to end this segment with this, showing this man's picture, this man who was murdered in cold blood's picture. And it's a shame, and that's him and his daughter. And it was a senseless murder. It was a hate crime. It was a lynching. It was a senseless murder. So I applaud you, Christine, and I applaud you, Mary, for giving your input and saying what comes out of your heart and letting people know, because these are things that the media is not talking about, that we're talking about tonight. These are things that people are talking about at dinner time, at the dinner table, but nobody's hearing it. So we finally got a platform. We got internet. There's other ways of protesting. We don't have to be out there walking and marching. We can do we did our protesting. This is part one of our protesting tonight. So I applaud you and Mary for coming on and doing your thing and saying what thus say of your heart. And tomorrow, hey, good job, y'all. Hey, Christine, thank you.
Well, thank you guys for the opportunity. And I get so busy, so if you send me a link, I will definitely join on. Thank you, Mary.
All right. Yes. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too.